Hi, my name is Havish Madhupati, and in this example, we want to look at four different ways of writing a for next loop in VBA. So, in the first one, we want to see how we can write VBA code and then run it using a shape that we create. In the next one, we will see how we can use variables which are picked up from cells in our worksheet to be able to create a dynamic VBA code. In the third example, I want to see how an input box can be used to put in both the start and the end value of our loop. So we're using an input box here. And then finally, I will be using a user form for the user to choose the start and the end point. Excellent. Let's get started. So we click on Developer and Visual Basic, insert a module, and let's just call this sub first macro. Now we want our number to start as a serial number on 1 and then go up all the way till 10. So we say for I is equal to 1 to 10. We are putting a value in the cell A1, which is 1 comma 1, and the value is 1. And then we say next I. Now because we also want the number which is being picked and put into the variable I, we want to change the row to I and the value to I. Let's see how this works. So I'm going to make a shape and then right click, assign macro, and then we assign our first macro. As you can see, when I click on the button, if we get numbers from 1 to 10, we just do that once again. We click on the button, we get numbers from 1 to 10. The second macro is going to be very similar to this, but remember here we want the user to choose the start and the end point. So I'm going to call this second macro, and let us just give the user the option to choose the start and then also choose the endpoint. This is 1 and this is 10. All right, we can call D9 as start cell and then D11 becomes end cell. The changes we do to our code is we say dim start cell as a value, or let's just say as a log, and then we say dim end cell again as a log, and then I starts at start cell and ends at end cell. And we can also say that start cell is equal to range start cell dot value, and we can copy this and say that end cell is equal to range end cell dot value. All right, this would be my starting cell. This would again be our starting cell, and then one final time start. Sorry, not this, not the last one. We simply say next I. All right, so let me reassign the macro, and the shape is now a button to control the second macro. And as you can see, when I click on the button, it gives us I, which is 1. And let's see what we have to change here. Okay, so we have to make a small change, and as you can see, when I click on the button, we get 10. Now the reason is that all these values are coming in the same cell, so we want to change this to I. And one final time, you would notice we get 1 to 10. If I say 12, then it becomes 1 to 12. If I change this to 5, then we get 1 to 5. All right, Let's come to our third example. Now, in our third example, we want two input box in which the user can decide what number he or she wants. So we write our number 3 macro. Let's just call this third macro. And we first want to take two inputs from the user. So we say dim start cell as long, and then dim end cell as a long. And to pick up these values, I start cell is equal to input box, please enter starting number, and we can copy the same thing, and we can say my end cell is please enter the stop number. The rest can be the same, so we can just copy and paste this. Alright, so one final time, when we run the code, let's remove all of this, so we can reassign the macro so the shape becomes third macro. And when I click on the macro, it says please enter the starting number. We say 1. Okay, please enter the stop number. That's a 7, and we get numbers. Oh, there seems to be a bit of a mistake. Let's just quickly see what we have to change here. So, oh, I'm so sorry. We have to remove this part because we don't need to pick it from the cell. We can simply pick it up from the input box. Let's do it one more time. 1 and then 7, and we get 1 to 7. 1 and 10, and we get 1 to 10. Alright, so we have used the VBA code. We have used the start and the end numbers dynamically and picked it up from two cells, and we've also created an input box for the user to put in the numbers. In the final example, I'm going to show you how we can create a user form. So we come back to VB, insert a user form, and let us make a few changes. We can just call this serial number, and I'm going to change the back color to blue, and in this we want to keep a command button, and we also want to keep two text boxes. That's the first one and that's the second one. Alright, and let's also rename the command button and say submit. Alright, so we double click on submit and we say that our start cell is equal to textbox 1 dot value, and our end cell is equal to textbox 2 dot value, and both of these are going to be declared as long. Alright, and once these values are picked up, for I is equal to start cell to end cell, cells I comma 1 is equal to I, and then we say next I. Alright, we go back to our module and we also need a code that will open the form for us. We say sub show form, which is simple. This is user form 1 dot show. As you can see, when I assign the fourth macro, which is show form, to the shape we have created, when the user clicks, you get a very nice user form where you can put your starting number and your end number and then click on submit. Wonderful. So we've done 4 different ways of writing serial numbers within Excel. So the most basic example would be to put the numbers as hard-coded values inside the macro. A little better would be to allow the user to choose the values from certain cells. Then we can create some cosmetic boxes where it can either be an input box or it can be a user form where the user puts in the values. I hope you liked the example. See you for the next one. Thank you.